I'm here with Michael Doherty from Justice Now. Michael's just been telling me a very interesting story regarding the Mayor of London's office. And Michael, I wonder if you could share it with us, please.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you know, that I'm doing this private criminal prosecution, a number of them in relation to police and police corruption, and I've been involved in trying to bring about some reform into the way the police are investigated, with like the Police Complaints Commission and stuff like that, pushing for reform, which I think is going to be of benefit to all of us, yeah, that the police are held to account if they've done something wrong. One of the ways I've tried to do that is to start this private criminal prosecution. That case is running in Luton, and it's set down for trial on the 15th of September 2014 for a 5 days hearing, yeah, and the charges are perverting the course of justice. It's recently come to my attention in terms of, because of course, you know, in terms of funding, as individual members of the public, when we're taking this, we have no resource. Yeah, we don't have access to public funding.
Sure, and even less so now than ever.
Yep, with the legal aid cuts and stuff like that, we don't have access to public funding, so we obviously are massively disadvantaged in terms of who we're up against. Metropolitan Police, for example, £3.5 billion a year budget for the Metropolitan Police, 60-odd thousand members of the Metropolitan Police, and that's the sort of level, the disparity in the issue between David and Goliath issue, really.
Sure.
Isn't it? It recently came to my attention, someone tipped me off, to go and look at who was funding the defence for this criminal trial that's going to run in Luton. And didn't tell me who it was, but I thought, well, who could be funding it? It could either be the Metropolitan Police or the Mayor's Office for London, which acts as a police authority for the Metropolitan Police. So I put freedom of information requests into the Metropolitan Police and into the Mayor's Office. The response I got back from the Mayor's Office was very, very loose and said, if we're funding, you'll find all published documents and point me to a website. So I waded through all these documents, which are all the decisions of the Deputy Mayor of London, Stephen Greenhalgh, who acts as the Police and Crime Commissioner for Boris Johnson.
Right.
Because London's slightly different than the rest of the country, but Stephen Greenhalgh is the Deputy Mayor of London, and he authorises certain payments to police officers to provide legal support and finance to certain police officers. It's done under a Home Office guidance, which says that police officers, when acting in execution of their duty and good faith, can get support towards their legal fees when they become involved in trials, and it could be inquests and stuff like that. And I accept police officers out there need to know that they're supported, and that should happen if they're acting in good faith. They should be supported. I accept that. It doesn't say anything about civilians having their legal fees paid. Yeah. But in this instance, because the prosecution is in relation to a civilian member of the Metropolitan Police, it appears that the Deputy Mayor of London in January of this year signed off. It's obviously plus VAT, so I think it's in a region of between £50,000 and £60,000 of legal fees, payments for that individual's defence. Now, on one level, you've got in this country where legal aid has been cut massively for people, yeah? So people aren't getting legal aid, but it seems that there's a gold-plated option if you're in this sort of situation in the police, that you don't have to worry about legal aid when you're in a criminal matter, because they're just going to provide funding for you. The Home Office guidance really does not say anything about civilians. My MP has recently written to both the Home Secretary and the Mayor of London back at the beginning of April, asking for clarification on this, that he believes that this is not lawful, what's happened. As yet, we've had no response from either the Mayor's Office or the Home Secretary in relation to this providing of funding. And another very bizarre part of it is in this document, it says that there was in a region of £15,000, so £11,000 plus VAT, in back payments for legal work done in 2011. The guidance within MOPAC, which is the Mayor's Office for Police and Crime, states that when officers are given money for legal defence, that they cannot incur any costs in advance of the decision being authorised by the Mayor of London. Yet it seems that the Mayor of London is prepared to backdate nearly 3 years payments,
right?
Which raises a number of professional issues as well, in terms of solicitors can't take on cases unless they know where their funding is coming from. So they can do it pro bono for free, or they have some funding stream in place. Otherwise, they can't act for people. So what were the solicitors back in 2011 who were acting for this individual? What was their payment arrangements for this case?
There's a number of interesting questions.
Because clearly it wasn't done pro bono,
right.
Because now they're being paid by the mayor's office 3 years later.
Right.
So it's very interesting. And it seems like the mainstream media who know about this have to date said nothing about it.
Struggled. Well, thank you, Michael. Can you keep us updated on what will happen?
I would like to say also, I've asked all every GLA member the members of the Greater London Authority who are supposed to hold the mayor to account. I've asked them. They know about this as well. Every single one of them knows about it. Not one of them. I've asked them, will they raise this? And
anybody responded to you?
Well, someone called Ed Williams, who is I think it's like Democratic something or other in the GLA, has responded to me to say that he's had a meeting with unnamed people and they're not going to respond to these emails about this matter. I've asked him who told him that they're not going to respond, these democratically elected people, and he refuses to tell me who he's had conversations with. I've asked him for minutes of the meetings he's had. He says there were no minutes to the meetings. So they're all having little chats about this case, and that's the problem. These democratically elected people who are supposed to be, surely working for the people,
are remaining unaccountable.
Are supposed to hold certain people to account, and it's all very secretive, very behind closed doors, and there's nothing transparent about it. So we'd
very much like to follow this up actually and find out more about this, obviously, because at this moment in time we know for a fact there are people dying all around our country from austerity cuts, but it appears that austerity doesn't actually affect the mayor's office. So thank you so much for talking to us, and we'd really like an update on that as and when you know about it. Thank you, Michael.